Hi, I'm Tim Heisler, and for my social competition project, I am doing the second audio track, which is how can I make a difference, or what can I do to make a difference? So for my visual touch points, I got a couple images here that I want to go over and kind of spit out my ideas of what I'm thinking about doing with them, manipulating them, and how I plan to further pursue this project. So for the first image here, we have what I'm thinking of making this the main image that you'll see throughout the video progress and build out from each other. So the center will obviously be, the Earth, and then for the different sections that Mike talked about in his audio track, these different sections will spread out. So the first section would be, talking about us humans being role models for, other people. And my idea here was having um, people biking rather than, driving to save on gasoline exposure, um, and then to also do recycling as well. Because the major themes I want to focus here is conserving gasoline, so taking other alternate ways of transportation and recycling, as those are the two major, sustainable ideas. Um, so yeah, for the first part would be the whole biking scene, and then for that I would like to have a whole group of people, as in the macro that he talks about, and then to have that shrink into one person to be the micro, because we learn um, from the micro to get to that macro, because it only takes one person to start spreading ideas. So that group of people riding the bikes and recycling will converge into one guy. Explaining that he is the one guy that spread this idea to that group of people. It's kind of going in reverse from the way that he conveys that statement in his audio track. So I kind of want to build off of this image as it goes on through the different topics that he goes off of. And for a color scheme, I was thinking sort of like this, not all green. I was thinking either blue, greens, and different shades of those colors. And then obviously to add textures within them. And my main struggle is usually has to do with textures, so I'm really going to try to push the textures this time along to really make these images not so flat and try to give them as much life as they can. So another idea I was thinking about doing, not to this extent of how much it is, but I would like to incorporate some sort of factual statistics that goes along with some of the images to further push the idea of sustainability and how it's, how important it is to further push um, his ideas across that he's going over to go along with the visuals. Now, since this project is mainly about the visuals conveying the message as he's saying it, I wouldn't go overboard with this idea, just a few here or there to really push the idea of the most important factors. So maybe like a similar graphic like this, or that goes along with these within the scenes um, that will, further describe a major point within that aspect that he's talking about. And to go back to this image real fast, as these would spread out, like it would be this, and then it would zoom into this part to have a whole new scene that goes with that to get more detail and depth within this idea. And it'll continue with all the other ones, depending on how many that I do. And then later on in the audio track, he goes over that, our timeline is quickly dwindling, and it's been too long since we've asked nicely for people to start doing sustainable living, and that now we need to start insisting. So Ryan had a good point to make the timeline into a clock, and then I'll probably use this idea to have the Earth as, the center of the clock, and then have the hands spin across fastly, showing how much time has gone by. And then as the time is going by, have different symbols spread out in the back to represent in the future that sustainable living is our future and how progressive we'll be if we, start being sustainable now. Um, and then Professor Penafino also had a good idea that he mentioned to me, which is to have a main focal point, um, like using one object that would go across the entire video sequence, like a dot, which I'll probably use a dot because that will represent the Earth, and then other various objects throughout that I can use that dot for to make the video smoothly transition from scene to scene so your eye can follow something. So this is some of the ideas that I was thinking about as I was doing some research as sustainability with the color palette, the different graphics. Um, I was probably thinking about doing something maybe a little more intricate than this because this is, super simple. But something on the lines of this, as this being the major image that will build upon through the entire video.